Hey everybody, I have a new planner slash journal to share with you today, and obviously as you can see it's a Moleskine travel journal. This is from their Passions line, and if you're not familiar with that, I did do a video last year on all of the other Passions journals that I own and did a flip through of each one of those. And the reason is because I don't understand, but these are just not as popular as I think that they should be, because they're really great. And I wanted to be able to look at something in detail and see if it was worth buying or if it would work for me. And so that's why I did that video. I did find a couple of videos on this one, which were so helpful, and I was so grateful for that. And that's why I knew that this one would work for me. Now, last year when I showed you the other ones, I didn't have a need for this one. But this year, I just find myself, my life has changed pretty dramatically. I'm just in a different place, different season in life, and I am going to be doing a lot more traveling than I have in the past. And so because of those experience I've already had with the Passion journals and the other videos that I was able to watch, I knew that I needed this in my life. Not that we ever need a good excuse to come up with, buying a new planner and a journal, but I really like the structure of those kinds of things, especially this Passions line. So that's why I am where I am right now. And I left this cover on just in case you've never seen how these come, but it just has this half dust jacket on it. And the Passions line with Moleskine, they have a color and an icon assigned to each journal. So obviously a suitcase makes sense here. And then here's how it looks on the back. So whichever journal that you bought will be highlighted with the color, and the other ones are grayed out. And then let me show you how it looks on the inside with the dust cover. So it has 21 different Passions journals that you can buy. So here are the 21. I believe this line started in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. And from what I can understand, they haven't added any. I don't think they've taken any away, but these have really become a lot harder to find. And like I mentioned, they're not as popular, and I just don't understand why, because I really like them. I've kind of lost count, but I think this travel journal is number 7 for me. So obviously their motto, you would just buy the ones that you needed because their motto is journals for the loves of your life, which I really like that. So that's how it looks. And it's the same standard Moleskine, so I won't get into all the different specifications, but it's about 240 pages, 6x8 kind of size. And this is my go-to size where it's just not too big, not too little. So I really, really like it. And let me take that off and show you what the actual cover looks like. I really love this because it's set up like the flight board information, which is really cool. You probably can have it's hard to see, but this one says like Lima and Havana down here at the bottom. I'm trying to read some of the other ones, but it's difficult, but it's cool. I like the way it looks. It's just blank on the back. And as you can see, I've kind of bent mine a little bit, but that's just a sign of that you use it and love something. So it comes with the standard 3 bookmarks. The bookmarks, I think I'm gonna have to take my flat iron to them because this is the only one that's like laying flat, and they're all kind of twisted up. Anyway, that's just a side note to anybody out there. It does come with this card, which I've already taken out, but it has this little card, which not really necessary, but just your place where you can write down your name and information. Blank traveler's journal pages right here. I'm assuming, I don't know, if there's other blank pages that I'll show you here quickly, but these blank pages, I don't know if you're supposed to use these as like a vision board. I don't know. This whole thing is new to me. I'm not a journaler. I've tried to become a journaler this year, but I'm not a memory keeper. I'm not a scrapbooker. That is completely out of my comfort zone, so I'm not really sure, but I guess you could do like magazine pages or something like this, or words, whatever. I'm just thinking out loud. So the contents page is the first like real page, which I really like. They have a lot of things set up, and because this is a structured journal, they already have some labels on some things. And it just jumps right into your first page, which is a personal information page. And I like this page. My only hesitation with this one is that it's set up for only one person. Now, I don't know about you. I think a lot of people do some solo traveling. I don't, and I don't think I ever will. I think the majority of us travel with a significant other or some friends and family. So I wish that there was more than one personal details page, because it does have a lot of given information like immunizations. I don't remember. So that's a nice thing to write down. But I'm not sure I would write down like social security number and passport. I don't know. For me, that's just, I think I've decided with this journal that I'm not going to travel with it. The trip that we just barely took, that I'll show you all the details on that one, I actually took pictures of this and just had them on my phone, which was really helpful. And that, I mean, I just didn't want to take one more planner or journal with me. I really tried to streamline it. The airline loyalty cards, again, I think that that's online, or you've got actual cards. I don't know if any of us would use that, and I don't know if we need 8 of those, but just thinking out loud here. Then you get to one of my favorite pages, which is, well, I have my first bookmark here, which is the don't forget standard checklist. And I'm going to try and show you that if it will focus, but it kind of cracks me up because all they have written down is toothbrush. So clearly dental hygiene is very important to the Moleskine company. I like this page a lot. I don't know if you can see. I think you can. It's divided up into 3 columns, which I am all over that. On this side of the page, the circles to check it off are on the right-hand side, and on the right-hand side, the circles are on the left-hand side. I don't know why that is. I'm just bringing up details because I'm a detailed person, but I completely love this 2-page spread here. As you can see, I haven't started filling it out because I think I need a few more trips under my belt before I start writing some things down. And then you've got a fold out, which is 4 pages of the years at a glance. And this is what I was talking about, whereas 2013, I believe, is when they started. They haven't updated these at all. And since I bought mine this year, 2016, I kind of wish that they would have updated them each year. I don't know if they just made a certain number of these journals and just never updated. I don't know how that's working. Because like I said, some of these are getting a little bit harder to find. I actually bought mine on Amazon. I think these retail for like $20, and I was able to get this one for about $10. So I was, of course, super happy about that. So the back side of the fold out is your travel timeline, and then they've got destinations written over here. And I'll try and fold this up so you can see it a little bit better. But as you can see, each one of these is divided, has little lines right here in the middle. So obviously each one of these bolder lines is 1 year because there's 12 little lines in here. Obviously, if you're going to do a lot of traveling, you would write on both sides of where you are for each one of the months, which is 1 line. But what do you do up here at the top with this blank section? I don't know. If you guys have ideas, let me know down below, because I'm baffled. I don't know. This is, like I said, completely out of my element here. I don't know if you're supposed to, is this where you do more memory keeping and put pictures? It just doesn't seem like a lot of space for that. I don't know. And then this is a random lined page that you have over here. Then you have time zones. My husband, I've mentioned, he travels all over the world. So this is a helpful page for me. I don't know how much that I or anybody else would refer to this, because there are other sources for this kind of information, but it's a nice world map nonetheless. Then you've got a section for temperatures and days. Great idea. I probably would refer to this, except that, this is going to be major cities worldwide. So chances of the city that you're visiting is probably slim to none, because they only have 1 page of cities here, but they do have the whole year for the different seasons. So it's a great idea. The next one is international airports. This one is 4 pages, so 2-page spread each. I think my husband probably has this memorized. I, however, don't. So I think I am actually going to be using this as a resource. And then you get into your flight durations. Again, a good concept, but since these are probably the major cities in either the country or specifically a continent, they're very, very limited. I mean, you're going to be lucky if both cities with your destination and where you're coming from are going to be on here, but it is a good information. I think obviously this is going to be online. You can find a better view of that. Now this one, words and names, I'm just going to say this is completely ridiculous. It's a waste of 4 pages and ink. Who in the world is going to look at a definition on here? I don't even know. I'm kind of speechless on this one. Now we start with the section. Now this is set up like every other Moleskine, at least the Passions line, where you've got your 5 labeled sections, which are right here, and then you've got 5 blank sections back there. So these are your sections. Let me try and get that all in frame. So wish list, planning, weekends, short trips, and long trips. Now they haven't specified for the trips. Obviously a weekend to me means 2 days. Short trips I've kind of determined would be up to a week, but more than 2 days. And then a long trip for me would be anything more than a week. And so here we go. So I will show you this since it doesn't have any writing on this one. So here's, before each section you get these 2 blank pages. So this one's really nice because it's got this shaded area. I don't really though know what to do with them. Is this more like vision board type thing specifically for each one of these sections? I don't know, but you can use those pages obviously. So let me flip back to this first one, and as you can see, clearly I have used this section. I have stopped doing official pen tests in any of my planners or journals simply because at this point I have a pretty good idea of what will work in each one. I already knew the Moleskine paper wasn't that great, but what I did, I used a felt tip, which is the Le Pen right here, and I've used felt tips in other Moleskines, and I knew that they didn't really work. However, I was kind of holding out hope with the Le Pen just because it's probably one of the smaller marker or felt tip pens out there. There are a couple other ones, but that might work. But I'm just going to make a blanket statement and say that felt tips just do not work at all in the Moleskine. As you can see, you can see all of my writing. So the shadowing is off the charts. There's also some bleeding on here. So it's just straight up not a good pen. Which is unfortunate because hopefully at the end I'll remember to show you how I like to use my pens on my journals. So here's the first page. So 2016, and here's how I left this on there just so you could see where I started from. I was just a random conversation questioning my husband, what trips do you have planned? What do we have planned for the rest of the 2016 year? And so that's where this came from. Now, I said that my husband travels a lot, so these trips, these are not all of his business trips. He has way more than that, but these are the ones that we either have planned personally or some of his business trips that I would possibly go on with him. And then I just put like where we're going, what the date was, who would possibly be going, kind of the purpose of it. And this one, as you can see, I wanted them to be in order, but this one kind of snuck up on me. I forgot about that one. So that's why that one is. Now, Barcelona, this would be super cool. I wrote this down as we're planning, though, more of it. For me to travel along with him is going to be, the flight was $3,000 alone. I mean, we don't have that kind of money, but even if we did, I'm not sure that a trip to Barcelona would be the first place I would want to spend some money. Anyway, this one's probably not going to happen with me, but that is one of his business trips that he's going on. So it would be at least $5,000, I think, for me to go. So that's not going to be happening. But anyway, so you can kind of get an idea there. So this one, if you're wondering like, what in the world happened here? I started writing 2017, but then I was like, wait, I'm not sure if I'm done with 2016 yet. So I'll go in and fill that out. But anyway, that's just, we have like 2 trips for 2017. And this is where I have my second ribbon bookmark here. The next page on this one is, this is where it gets really fun because this is where we actually started brainstorming on where we wanted to go. And what I did here is just asked everyone in my family, like, what's your dream trip? Like, if you went somewhere and you could say like, okay, now my life is complete, kind of a trip, because I want to make my family's dreams come true. I'm a dream fulfiller. So there are a couple of us that still need to decide where we want to go. Like, I'm just along for the ride. I'm just there to spend time with my family and make their dreams come true. So I don't really have like a place that I have, but they do. So in parentheses, I wrote down like who would be going on a specific trip. And then in brackets, as you can see, That's that person's specific dream. And so we don't really have dates on these because these are like bucket list kinds of trips. Like this will probably take us maybe our entire lives to fulfill these. This one up at the top is not necessarily a dream, but this is my husband's best friend, his childhood best friend. And he married a Japanese woman who we just completely adore. We adore him too, but we love her as well. And they used to live here in the States, but now they live in Japan. And so we would love to go visit them in Japan. So we just don't know when that's going to happen, but that would probably just be my husband and me. And then the other ones down here, like we just went on this trip. So we kind of have an idea on some places, specific destinations or places for that particular area. And I have some more things to add, which I'll show you when we get to my other section. But the other ones, like we've actually started doing some research on a cruise to Alaska. So we know for sure that we all need passports, and because it's docking from Canada. And just some things like that. My husband used to live in Korea, so he knew specific like islands and cities that he wanted to go see. But anyway, you get the gist there. So this is just a really super fun page. I like this page a lot. You get 6 pages of that one. So as you can see, I used up like 3.5 pages of that already. Then here's your planning section, which this is not going to come probably as a surprise to any of you out there, but this is by far and away my very favorite section here. So because of the fiasco with the Le Pen, in this section I'm like, wait, okay, gotta switch this up. So I started using my Uniball Deluxe Micro. I've had these pens forever, as you can see the paint or whatever is chipping off of there. This is a roller ball, so it's a gel type of pen. And as you can see on here, there's still a lot of shadowing, but not quite as much, and no bleed through here. So that was good news. And so here is, let me show you a blank page first before I show you that one. Here's a blank page. So each one of these sections, because, well, this one's different. This is the planning section, so I'm getting ahead of myself here. The 5 W's, so where, when, who, what, and why, with a shaded area, and then budget. So out of the entire journal, obviously the budgeting section is going to be my very, very favorite page. It's set up for what and the price. So you're supposed to list things and then what your budget is. However, that wasn't really good enough for me. I don't want to just know what my budget is. I want to know what we actually spent and did we keep within our budget. So how I have set mine up, and I'm sure this will improve with each trip, is what our expenses were, what the budget was, and then in the price section over here, I actually wrote down everything, the totals of everything. And I don't know if you can see it because the Moleskine paper is a little bit hard to see, but it does have a little bit of a break in the lines here between the what section and the price section, and at the very bottom is the total. So let me show you now what we did with our trip. So here it is over here on the side. So this is basically a very shortened version of our itinerary. And so that's when we figured out with, which I'll get to later. These are a little bit out of order, but they work for my planning, if that makes sense. So where we were going and who, what, why, all that different kind of stuff. Now I'm actually going to cover this one up. Don't make fun of my icons. I cannot draw, you guys. So there may be a few stickers coming into this planner just because I'm not an artist at all. I'm going to cover this up so we can focus on this page. This one, here you go. So I have just a little dot right here for each different section. So airfare to get there, the hotel, our transportation when we're in the city, our food, entertainment, the airport parking for our car, because we obviously drove ourselves, and then dog sitting for my dog, because I think that needs to be included because that's an expense we wouldn't have had we not gone on this trip. So those are my different categories for this one, and this is where I wrote in where our actual prices were. So in parentheses was our budget, and that's where I got the total down here. And then I filled in some of this before, and then some of it you had to wait till afterwards. Like obviously I knew we were going to eat, but you know which ones. All of our breakfasts were. I wrote a note here. Why didn't we have breakfast expenses? Well, because we were able to eat at the hotel, so that was great. And then for the entertainment, We didn't end up going to any of the parks that cost money, so that one was just scratched out. So here's all of our actual expenses, and then I just broke those down, each line item. Like with Ubers, I went back and forth, but I think because the space is limited, I just left just one line for that, but I put like how many each one of our Uber trips cost, and that's where I got the total over here. Now, as you can see with each different sections, only a few of them down here only had one expense within that category. So I wanted to know, with our budget, did we stick within the budget? So I totaled each section, and that's how I got these totals over here that are circled. So I can look in airfare. A lot of these things we knew how much it was going to cost, and if you're wondering, like airfare, how my husband travels a lot, so he had a lot of points. That's why it only cost us $50. So a lot of things you're going to be able to know exactly how much. You guys know how it is if you travel. But other things, it's just, let's just say it, it's just flat out expensive to travel in general. Some things you'll know for sure. Some things you'll have a good guess on, and some things you're just like shooting from the hip. You have no idea. So that's just how I came up with each one of these different ones. So transportation, as you can see, we were way off. We were $100 under budget on that one. Food, though, we were way off on the opposite side. We were almost cost us more. I have a lot of food restrictions with my health, and so we actually did a lot of research with food, and even doing that, we were still way off because we were looking at menus and the areas and specific places that we wanted to eat, but then when you just get there, I don't know, things cost more, or you're adding things, or things are a la carte and you didn't know that they were. Anyway, I think this is all just good information to have for future trips. And so that's how I came up with all these, and I got this figure down here. I think that's all I need to say about that, except for I'm just going to show you this. So you can see our totals. I don't know if this is going to focus, but here in the middle, we were only, the plus sign means we were over, so we were only over $27.97. I don't know about you guys, but I am thrilled to pieces about that figure. I really am. Because I think with traveling, just so much is left up to chance, and you just don't know. So I'm super thrilled with that. Another great thing that I will bring up about the budget is, for me, this is a very expensive trip. Like, we don't do this very often. We were celebrating a couple of big milestones. But if we had just spent this amount, and I knew kind of beforehand, obviously if we're only $27 off, like I knew it was going to be expensive, but if I had just come home and started tallying things up and then I got to this figure without having a budget, I'm just going to say it, I would have completely freaked out, because this is a lot of money. So I think that's another reason where budgeting really helps, because you just have a good guideline on, yeah, this is going to be expensive, or, no, this is only going to be, a few $100s instead of thousands is what we're looking at here. Okay, so that's all I have so far. This section right here, you get a 2-page spread with your planning section, and you can plan 10 trips. So you get 20 pages here. And then the next section is your weekend section. This one is also a 2-page spread, so you still get those blank pages, and it's a 2-page spread. We haven't gone on any weekend trips yet. And this is where the trip section with the weekends, short and long trips, they're kind of set up all the same, but you just get more pages with the other ones. So your destination, date, how you get there, travel guides, travel companions, notes, checklist, memorable moments, and your photos and clippings. That's all going to stay the same with each one of these 3 last sections. The travel guides, I'm not sure what you're supposed to do with that, so somebody can help me out there. I don't know if you're like on a guided tour. I don't think I would write down my guide's name. I don't know. And with my companions, I know who all my companions are, unless you're on, like I said, on a guided tour, but I wouldn't write down those people's names. I don't know what that's good for, but anyway. So this is a 2-page spread. With the weekend trips, you get 13 trips, so you get 26 pages in this one. Then with your short trips, which is the one that we just went on, you get 4 pages for this spread, and you get 10 trips in this section, so 40 pages. So let me show you what this looks like first of all, and then I'll show you my trip here. So this is what this one looks like, how to get there. Your places section is a lot bigger. This is still about the same size with the notes. Your checklist is a full page on this one. And memorable moments is a full page, which on the other one, they were only about a half a page each. And then the photos and clippings is also a full page on this one. So let me show you our trip that we just took. And here it is in all its not so glory. So here's just the information. I started writing with my Uniball Deluxe Micro on this one. I also messed up, and right here I had the wrong time, so I wrote with a Le Pen. So it's good that you can see all of the 3 different pens on here. But even with my Uniball, I didn't really like that one. I actually switched to this section to a Papermate Inkjoy ballpoint. This is a 1.0, which is a hugely fat tip for me. You guys probably know I'm usually a 0.2 or a 0.3 girl. But I just didn't want all the bleeding. So as you can see, it's a lot better. This is mostly ballpoint down here. So I can feel the writing. I actually like that. I'm a tactile person. Some people don't. That does not bother me at all. But there's no, I mean, there's a little bit of shattering, but not nearly as much as those other 2 pens that I was using. So I'm going to stick with this pen on this journal because I like to, I'm a little weird this way, but I like to match up like a color and a pen to a specific planner and a journal. So for me, blue is a great color for traveling. Just it reminds me of like clear blue skies and like the blue ocean, blue water. I don't know. That's just the way my brain works. So definitely blue, obviously. So here's my trip. And then this section right here with the places, we actually talked to a few friends that had already been there. So they gave us some suggestions. And then we also, or we as in me, I like to do a lot of research. So I just went online and just Googled like best places to eat or best places to visit. And that's how I kind of got this list right here. And then back when we were doing the budget, that's when we actually had decided which ones out of these we were going to go to or the places that we were going to eat. And that's where we got the budget from, if that makes sense. It seems like it's out of order, but it works and it makes sense for my brain when I'm doing the traveling. Then the travel guide, I just wrote here, we did want to watch a documentary, so I guess that's the good place to write it. And then the notes section down here, you guys will appreciate this. This was all about stationery, pens and paper, the stuff that I love. I knew where we were going, San Francisco, had awesome places, and so I just wanted to make sure I visited all those. Here is my checklist for the trip, and this is my personal one. So I mentioned with my food issues, I always, even like if I'm just going out of the house, I always have something with me to eat because I just don't want to be caught not being able to eat something. So this is my checklist, my very basic checklist. And as you can see, I even forgot my gluten-free crackers, but it ended up okay. And then all the stuff I needed to take here. It still has those little circles, which is the check boxes over here. For some reason, the checklist, let me go back and show you that. The checklist is not set up. It's all one line and only has one checklist, whereas that awesome one in the beginning was divided into 3. So I don't know why they don't do it in these other sections. I would love for them to. I'll show you when I get to this one. But the checklist for the short trips is probably, the page I think is really good. And then the weekend, having just that little half page or a third of a page. I am assuming you're supposed to go back with your main checklist, but I like to check off and cross things out every single trip, so I don't know how that's going to work for me. But anyway, we'll make it work. Okay, so here's my checklist. As you can see, I forgot 2 things with my list, and then I completely forgot I wrote this when I came back. I completely forgot these 3 things to put on there. It all ended up okay, and I didn't end up really needing them, but it would have been good to have. So here's my other pages for this trip. As you can see, I haven't done anything yet. I have no idea, you guys, how to do this. I've never really been a memory keeper. I don't like to keep mementos. I think for me, it's clutter. I know that's probably sacrilegious to say for a lot of you, but I'm just not sentimental that way. I mean, I know I went on a trip and I have awesome memories, so I don't really need this, but since I have this travel journal, I'm going to try and branch out. So I did keep our 2 tickets that we had. And I don't know, like for me, it just takes up a lot of space. I would rather, this takes up like half the writing space almost. So anyway, I'm going to play with it. I'll probably end up posting my final spread on Instagram on what I decided to do. I do have a Polaroid zip. My husband, we didn't really take a lot of pictures because we were busy having fun, but he did take one of me specifically at Mido because I was just like delirious with joy and just totally in the zone. I'll probably end up putting that one in here because that was the highlight of my trip, at least personally. And then a couple of other ones, but we probably only took about 4 pictures anyway. So we can probably put all of them on there and just maybe a short amount of journaling. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud here because I have no idea what to do. Okay, last section is your long trips. I think I mentioned with the short trips you get 10 trips, so 40 pages. Your long trips is an 8-page spread and 6 trips with this one, so you get 48 pages here. And let me show you how that is set up. So all the same things, your checklist, this is what I was mentioning or starting to mention in another one. The long trip, you still only get 1 page for your checklist, which I think a long trip, the longer you're gone, the more you need to take. I would love to have seen a 2-page spread for the checklist, or at least divided into 2. But obviously, I could do that with washi tape or drawing a line or something. But I'm not only, I don't know if lazy is the right word, but I like things to look professional. I don't like things to look like I homemade them myself or handmade them. So that's kind of my hesitation with doing that kind of stuff. I wish it was just set up that way. Anyway, so transport is a bigger section. The travel companions and travel guides is much bigger. Again, I don't know what to do with that. Then there's a places section, is a whole page with lines. Your maps and notes. This section is in the other 2 sections, but you don't have the maps in the other 2. So that also I think is really good because when you're on long trips, you have a lot more places that you're visiting. Your memorable moments is a 2-page line spread, which I do like that a lot. And then your photos and clippings is also a 2-page blank spread, just like the other ones that are blank for photos and clippings. So that's really great. So that's the end of the first half of the journal. The second half is set up just like all the other Passions Moleskine journals, where it's the 5 sections. These first 2 sections, you get like 6 or 8 pages in each one of the sections. So the first 2 are lined. The middle one is divided into 5 sections. The last 2 are blank, and they say photos and clippings on them. And then just like all the other Passions journals as well, and I believe in the regular Moleskines also, just the regular notebooks, there's an index. If you're a bullet journaler, you usually have your index in the beginning, but in these, their index is in the back, and of course they have that filled in with all the other sections that they come pre-labeled. I have not put in my trip that I just took or any of the other things that I filled out yet, but I definitely will. I do like this section, so it's 5 pages, and they are numbered. And at the very back is your pocket. Now, this is set up just like the Passion Planner, which is a different line, but it's a planner, where it's got this gusseted and it's divided into 2 pocket here. This fabric right here is how the Passion Planner, the entire pocket, is made up of. The Moleskine Passions journals, however, just have cardstock here, so it's a lot less durable even than the Passion Planner. And then it's just glued on, it's paper right here, just glued on. So because it's also with the book binding, it's just not made to hold a lot of things in here as far as the durability or even just the thickness of it. I'm going to show you what mine looks like I have a whole lot of things in here from my trip, which I'll take those out and show you. But I'm not going to be keeping things in here on a long-term basis. So here's what it looks like divided into 2. So let me show you what the journal comes with if you haven't seen those. It always comes with this little thing. Oh, there's some quality control stickers. I will throw those away. So this just describes the journal. And then the Moleskines always come with, let me turn those right side up, these labels for that second half of the journal. So they come pre-labeled, or there's some blank ones here at the bottom. And let me start with these first. These these standard passion journals, each one of even the planners, I believe, come with standard stickers. So these gray stickers are the standard stickers that come with every Moleskine. And it's just your standard icons as well as some blank labels. So this is where it's different for each passion journal. So as I mentioned, the color is blue. And then of course it's just going to have different travel icons on there. Let me hold that up, because if you're a sticker person like I am, that's what it looks like, all the different icons. I'm not going to be putting a ton of stickers in here. However, I think because I'm a visual person and I'm only using this, blue color, I think I'm going to put something, maybe since I've got these to use, these clear transparent stickers, I might put some things in there, as well as like my budget. I might put it like a $sign or something, just because I love pictures. I love to see something. I'm visual, so visual. So those are the stickers. So I probably will, with all my other ones, I have kept my stickers in there. And then this very front pocket, I'm going to pull those out. This is everything from my trip. So here's the other 2 tickets, which I don't believe I need, so I'm just going to recycle those. I did get this nice little pamphlet. Normally, like I said, I normally wouldn't keep this kind of stuff, but we loved this trip so much. Like the whole time we're like, we've got to bring the whole family back here. This is so much fun. And I think that's a good thing about a trip, is you kind of figure out like, yeah, we want to do this again, or nope, been there, done that. It was nice, but we don't want to come back. This is a trip that we'd actually bring everybody back to. And I kept this also because it's got this great map in here of parks around Northern California and the San Francisco area. So this one is, I'm thinking this is going to be a keeper. So that's the only thing I keep in there. And then I just kept this to show you, this is all of our receipts, including our hotel. And that's how I just tallied up all of our budgeting with that. And I just kept that in here until I had the time to do that. So I don't need that anymore. So now let me cover this and show you what it looks like. So now that's what it looks like. So a little bit better, still a little bit thick, but I think with mementos and stuff, that's another hesitation of mine, is I just don't want to bulk up the book too much, but yet, that's what it's supposed to be for. It's supposed to be used and well loved. So this is what I was going to show you with my pen. I wanted the Le Pen to work, and I think I got this from Seaweed Kisses. That was one of the videos that I had. The Le Pen looks so great. I mean, it's flush against the spine, but I just can't have that with the bleed through. So I'm going to have the Papermate, and it's just a little bit hard to get started, but it does work better, or okay, I should say. The Le Pen is probably better, just also because of the clicker on the top. But this is how I like to keep all of my planners and journals, just with a specific color, a specific pen. So anyway, I know this is a very long video, but I hope that it's been helpful for the flip through and how I do travel planning and all the budgeting and things. I love detailed videos because it helps me out, so I hope it's helped you as well. Thanks for watching, you guys, and I will talk to you again soon.